The tech and political worlds are merging, and there's pretty much nothing we can do about it at this point. In January, many executives in the tech industry came out strongly against President Trump's immigration ban. That news was followed by Y Combinator announcing the American Civil Liberties Union would join its accelerator for tech startups. Meanwhile, everyday employees in the tech industry are increasingly becoming involved in social and political activism of sorts, whether it's staging walkouts or rallies at their tech companies or showing up in solidarity at public protest. But this isn't the first time tech has gotten involved in politics. Tech leaders have spoken out against things like SOPA and PRISM, as well as policies that affect the LGBTQ community. But something feels different this time around. Today, we're chatting with Sam Altman, president of Y Combinator, about the intersection of tech and politics.
Sam Altman is the president of Y Combinator, a startup accelerator in Silicon Valley that has churned out startups like Airbnb, Stripe, Dropbox, and Flexport. In the last couple of years, YC has expanded its mission to focus on things like basic income and universal healthcare.
Why are the worlds of tech and politics increasingly colliding these days?
I think tech has just expanded so much, and it's the way that so many of us consume news and information. There was sort of an unavoidable collision with the world of politics.
And I've seen you're very active on the internet, obviously, and on your blog you've posted things about basic income, universal health care. What's driving you to get involved in that sort of area?
I think I've been incredibly fortunate in my career, and I'm in a place where I can work on things that I think are really important to the future. And I think that as technology continues to create more wealth but concentrate it, we have an obligation to figure out how to address that problem. So we will create huge amounts of wealth in the tech industry, but if we don't figure out how to include everybody in that and figure out new societal systems as AI eliminates jobs or whatever else happens, then I think we'll have totally failed. And I think that I'm very lucky that I have a platform where people listen to me and I can try to advance these ideas I care about.
So how many projects right now do you have, like, in addition to your core role at Y Combinator?
YC Research sort of funds 5 different projects. Right. OpenAI, we're trying to develop superhuman AI and have that be maximally beneficial for people as a whole. Basic income, universal healthcare, a group where we're looking at new cities, because I think the cost of housing is one of the biggest problems that we're trying to face as society. I think young people are just getting completely screwed by that system, and we need to think about ways to make housing as affordable as possible. And then the 5th one is Alan Kay's group, which we call HARK, which is new ways to do education and communication. And actually would have been great for this election. How can you get more empathy into people's minds?
Y Combinator recently accepted the American Civil Liberties Union into the startup accelerator. Yeah. After that announcement came out, people had some concerns about YC's relationship with Peter Thiel, who of course backed President Trump's campaign.
President Trump.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound any less crazy.
No. Yeah, it's or some people have been saying 45, or like the man in the room.
I think that might be a good strategy. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, so Thiel backed 45's campaign. But do you want to set the record straight, and just say what is Thiel's involvement with YC, what involvement he might have with the ACLU?
Yeah, no involvement at all with ACLU. He's, part-time partners are pretty not involved, so he advises startups when they ask for it, but he's busy with a lot of other things.
Yeah, do you think the ACLU would ask him?
I don't know. The ACLU defends a lot of free speech, right? But they haven't so far. I don't expect that they will. And I hope we'll be able to help them with whatever they ask for. Our model with any startup, profit or nonprofit, we funded 30-something nonprofits.
Okay.
And the model is always, the startup tells us what they need help with, and we try to help. So if that's fundraising, we'll try to help with that. If it's technology, advice, partnerships, whatever it is. And in this particular case, there was a ton of excitement. So many of our companies said, we want to give this free services to the ACLU, and the community really rallied together in a way that was nice.
After the election, we've just seen a lot of people in the tech industry, speaking up either against Trump or some of his executive orders, especially relating to immigration.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself as an activist at this point?
I guess so. I'm not. Yeah. I mean, I was not planning to be this involved. It has become a very busy second job.
Yeah.
But I really care about it.
Yeah.
I do think there's a lot tech can do, but trying to figure out the right few things to focus on.
Right.
That's not yet clear to me. But I think it's super important we figure that out. And I think, to say something positive, the entire tech community feels engaged and wants to figure this out and wants to do the right thing.
Right.
So I think that there is a lot of potential energy looking for the right thing to do.
Yeah. What are some of your top priorities, maybe, in terms of in thinking about like how you could be an activist of sorts? Like what are those types of priorities, or what are the few things that you're thinking about right now?
The things that scare me the most about Trump, one, I think he will be terrible for the rights of Americans that don't look like him. At a minimum, he'll be a terrible example.
Right.
And he'll probably also try to enact policies that I think are really bad. I'd love to see the court system step up and defend the country, but I think protecting the rule of law and equality of all citizens, I think that's a super important area for us to defend. I think trying to engage with everybody, one thing I really don't like about some of tech's response is this whole, people that supported Trump are the devil, right, and we hate them, and we're gonna go they're not part of the future. I hope tech proved that it could drive us apart. I hope tech can bring us together. Mm-hmm. And I think without that, we will have this, even if we win the next election, which I really hope we do, I think we will continue to have this very divided country. I mean, if Hillary had won, you and I would be very happy, and there'd be some version of this somewhere else where people were talking about the end of the world. And so I think trying to come back together is like, we disagree, but we have this shared country, and we need to, find a way to not all be trying to root for the demise of the other half. Feels really important.
So what I do here at TechCrunch, a lot of my coverage is around diversity and inclusion, and it's, to me, I mean, that conversation has definitely broadened in light of Trump, and it's kind of made me question, okay, what should I be prioritizing right now? Or is there something that's more important? Do you have this idea that, or do you ever feel spread thin in a way? There are now so many things that need a lot of attention that you might not really know where to begin.
Yeah, I've had that same experience, which is I had this set of things I thought were really important, and now there's some new things that seem a whole lot more important.
Yeah.
And I think one important meta point is to be, this thing happened that we didn't expect and seems like it could be really bad, and being willing to sort of reallocate focus and time and priorities. I think the meta point is it's important to focus, and it's important to be willing to redirect that focus. So not do too many things and be willing to do very different things than I was thinking I was going to do in October of last year.
Right.
The other thing that I worry about a lot with, let's say 45, is I hope this is a misguided worry, but I do worry a lot about a war, and I think he's a little bit unstable. Mm-hmm. And I don't, there are a lot of things that I think I can at least come up with some path of how tech can help.
Yeah.
And that one, it just feels like we're powerless on.
Right.
Did you see that report about Cambridge Analytica and how the Trump campaign used them to sort of perfectly tailor messaging and advertising to each individual person based off of their Facebook likes and their preferences? So we basically, one of the things technology does is instead of having to create a message that applies to a broad set of people, you can create 350 million messages. And so there is this way in which this was the election of the algorithm. And there was, tech can, I think that kind of was this emergent behavior we weren't all ready for. But tech can get really focused on that now. And I think it's, the industry has a lot of power to create empathy, bring people together.
So given all that we've discussed, and, considering that we're both in this tech world, in the startup world, where does that leave the startup ecosystem, or where, in terms of opportunities for innovation and real impact. How do you
look, to end this on a positive note?
Yeah.
The tech industry is incredibly powerful, and we feel fairly united in this concern. And so I think there is an enormous amount we can do if we can agree on what to do and coordinate and how we do it. But I think it is not just people in Silicon Valley that spend all day on their phones, looking at Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, everything else. And so I think there's really a lot that's possible. One of kind of the crazier ideas I have, everyone talks about the merge, the singularity, like when we, humans and computers become the same thing.
Right.
And I think there's an important argument that's already behind us. I'm uncomfortable right now because my phone's up on that table. But that phone controls my life.
Right.
And that tells me what I should think, and it tells me when to go to a meeting and when to go here. And if I don't have it, although it's not technically part of my body, I feel physically uncomfortable. It's like something's missing. It's really important. And I don't think I'm in a minority there. And so there is this way in which the industry has a lot of power to create empathy, bring people together, and spread these ideas that we believe in.
Thanks so much for your time, Sam.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Catch Bullish on Wednesdays here at TechCrunch.com.